Welcome to Failure, the Failhouse video. Failure every production is a mess. Welcome to Failhouse video.
Is a scene where the younger Anthony goes out of the train and everything. He walks by it was in 1987 Ridgewood where he goes, and his mother, played by perhaps Nancy O'Dell, said, "Anthony, wait up, wait up." When I was 4 years old at the time, and he sees a VHS collection. He sees Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling, Batman, Sergeant Slaughter, AWA tape. He sees all those tapes, and Anthony was realized that said, "Wow, what?" And he looked like, "Wow," and his mind, his eyes popped up and everything. And then Nancy O'Dell's character was holding her hand and everything, and and the ADL video lady was this lady. They said, "May I help you?" And I said, "We're looking for some tapes." And there was Transformers, there was all that, and it's just wow, and everything. ADL video, it has a lot of tapes in it, so we went a couple of tapes and everything. Then we walked by in a house. Diane Chobot, played by Nancy O'Dell, puts the tape on, and Anthony was enjoying it. And that was the end of my byline for part 1 of the hashtag Anthony Chobot Saga. I don't know when I'm going to do part 2. Whenever I get a chance, I will. I'll let you guys know. Now, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Anthony Chobot.
Have you ever wondered how personal struggles can shape us? Let's dive into the life of Anthony, a boy from Ridgewood, Queens. A popular kid, skilled in sports and smitten with a girl named Olinda, they ruled their prom night. But after graduation, Anthony's life took a different turn. Anthony's life was on the upswing until a mental breakdown changed everything. From popular high school king to diligent worker at a movie theater, Anthony was living a seemingly normal life. It was the job training program that propelled him into the workforce. But when mental health issues struck, he lost his job and found himself seeking refuge in a mental health facility. It was a time of turmoil and unrest, and it was also a time of reformation and recovery. But Anthony found solace in an unlikely place, the church. Religion became Anthony's refuge, leading him on a path of redemption. In the embrace of the church, he found a sanctuary, a place of healing. He started volunteering, giving back to the community that had given him so much. Along this journey, he met Zulu, a soul as vibrant as the city itself. But as the seasons changed, so did Anthony. His anger, that old foe, reared its ugly head, landing him back in treatment. And just when it seemed like Anthony had hit rock bottom, he found love again. In the darkest times, love can be the brightest light. For Anthony, that light was Bianca, a vibrant soul. She danced into his life when he needed it most. Their love story wasn't without its thorns. Rivals came, seeking to shatter their bond, but together they stood tall, their love unyielding. They vowed to face every storm side by side, and so they did. Their triumphant love story led them down the aisle, sealing their promise to each other. But Anthony's greatest battle was still to come. Anthony's final battle wasn't with rivals or anger, but with his inner demons. In his mind, he wrestled with a devilish foe, emerging victorious. This victory brought him peace, a peace that endured for 40 years of blissful marriage with Bianca.
Anthony's life story is a testament to the power of resilience, love, and personal growth.
This part of the Anthony Chobot Saga depicts Anthony getting a job at Regal Movie Theater after completing a year-long job training program. He excelled at his role, obtaining the title of Employee of the Month by ripping tickets and keeping everything clean while wearing the trademark red Regal uniform. Unfortunately, Anthony suffered a mental breakdown which led to a suspension and eventually getting fired from his position. This sad turn of events left Anthony drinking soda, depressed about his situation. His mother, Momo, played by Nancy O'Dell, tries to cheer him up. That concludes the events of Part 6 in the Anthony Shebag story. Overall, it shows Anthony finding work success, but also facing challenges with his mental health that impact his job.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite YouTuber, Anthony Chobot the Popcorn, the number one YouTuber in the world. It's time for part 4 of my byline for the Anthony Chobot Failhouse production version of the Anthony Chobot Saga. Here's part 4, where he grew up 10 years later, where he goes to high school, and then the girls were looking at him, and then he saw this girl named Olinda Pineda, and he became friends with her, and then he was the king of cool. He was wearing his Washington Redskins Deion Sanders shirt. He was amazing and everything. He was awesome. And then he goes into school and everything with the hair. And then he forms a bow crew. And he gets lunch. And then he works at the cafeteria. And then 2 years later he goes to prom. And then he dances, and him and Linda was going to be prom king, but they lost. And then he won some awards. And then he graduated, and then he said, damn, what's the next life gonna be like? And that's the byline of part 4 of the Anthony Chobot Saga. Failhouse is Anthony Chobot. Where he becomes a man 12 years ago or something, in 2002, and he woke up and mom said, Mom, Anthony, you gotta go to school and everything. And he goes on a school bus with his friends in high school, and then he met the love of his life, Olinda Pineda, and then he sings, he raps to her and everything, and then he gives her flowers, and then he was thinking about her and everything, and then one time he went back home, he gave her flowers and everything, they went on a date, and prom time came. He was a senior and she was a senior, and then they went to prom dancing, and then he got elected prom king and prom queen, and that's the end of Momo Zine's Anthony Chobot Saga. Let me know what you think. Hey everybody, it's your favorite YouTuber, Anthony Chobot the Popcorn, the number one YouTuber world. It's time for part 6 of my byline for Momo Zine's the Anthony Chobot Saga, where he goes to a job training program and everything, and he goes in for about a year, and then they hooked him up with a job at Regal, and he was awesome working at Regal, and he had the uniform on, the Regal red uniform, and then he ripped tickets and cleaned everything, and he was the best one, and he made it into Employee of the Month and then he went to the Glendale mental health, and he had a mental breakdown. And then he was suspended, and he got fired, and he was sad, and he was drinking a soda, and Mom, played by Nancy O'Dell, cheer him up. And that was a sad story, and that's the end of part 6 of the Anthony Chobot Saga. The Popcorn, the number one YouTuber in the world. It's time for part 7 of my good friend Momo Zine, the Anthony Chobot Saga, where he got out of the mental hospital, he's feeling refreshed, and then he went to church and everything. He went to a Christian church, and then he got prayed over the pastor, and he saw his favorite singer, Jeannie Ortega, played by Zelina Vega, aka Dia Trinidad. I thought it was good and everything, and he cried and everything, and he got his life back in order. I thought he did, and he cried and everything, and then he met his girlfriend Zuzuka Melendez, and then they hit it off. They went on a date, and he was so happy, and then he had a job at Misfit NYC, and then his rage controlled him, and he started yelling and screaming, and then he yelled, and then he was put back in a mental institution, and then 4 days later he got out, and his mom said never again, and that's the end of part 7 of the Anthony Chobot Saga. On YouTube, well, it's time for a part 9 of the Anthony Chobot Saga, where he goes into his house in Ridgewood, Queens, and then he saw this beautiful stripper. Her name's Bianca Bailey, and then he meets her, buy her flowers and everything at the strip club, and then they hang out in the restaurant. They went dancing, and then he faces off against and then one time Michael Anthony Castellon is there, and then he's the villain of the story, and then Charmaine Marie was there and everything. They both wanted to fight him and everything, and then he and Bianca fought them and everything, and then they got away, and then he goes to the program, and then he falls back with them, and then they got married, and then settled down, and that's the part 9 of the Anthony Chobot Saga. And we're gonna do time for the final part of the Anthony Chobot Saga, Momozine Anthony Chobot Saga, where he was thinking he was outside his yard in Ridgewood, and then the ground was shaking, and he fought the devil and everything, and then he was fighting in swords and everything, and then he said, "Devil, be gone," and everything, and then he blinded the devil, and then he went back to reality, and then he put up a phone, and then Bianca saw that, and we said hi, and then at the end he got married and everything, and then 40 years later they become old, and Anthony looks back on his life, and that's the end of the Anthony Chobot Saga. That's it. No more. Now, what do you think, Momozine? Now, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share your popcorn hoping the #1 YouTube world you can